Well, welcome to Tuesday night, and it's the FishPal Live. I'm Anne Woodcock, and join me for the next hour where I've got some fabulous guests to share their stories with you. Before I introduce you the wonderful guests, I'm going to just tell you a little bit about what's actually happening around the country. Well, there's lots of reports about grills coming in, and this is a photo of Michael McCallum, and he was fishing the Alness Angling Club water, and he caught this grills on, that isn't it. I've lost my grills man. There he is. Okay, let's put him in. So let's start again, everybody. I'm just too excited to see you all this evening. We've got lots of reports of grills coming in from around the country. And Alness Angling Club and Malcolm McCallum caught this wonderful grills fishing the club water up in the northern part of Scotland. Now on the Annan, we've got Michael Ferns, the reporter, says heavy rain today, which will lift the river again. So hopefully we're going to see another good end to the week and for salmon catches. And this is Rachel. She caught a 7-pound salmon from the mill pool on Newby. Well, taking us down to the River Tay, David Sands has caught the 100th fish of the season for Cargill Beat. So well done, David, for that. And also as well is well done everybody on the Cargill Beat. A super day's fishing. Love this photo. This is a special moment for 13-year-old Lennon. He landed his first ever salmon at 13 pounds on Fish Pond's Beat on the River Tay, and that's a super photo of Lennon and also Ian. Now, going on to the River Spey, the Gordon Castle Estate report, they've had some fantastic sport over the last few days, and they are enjoying a good mix of salmon and grills, and most are fresh fish as well. So, and going on to the D now. If you get the chance to actually see the River D report, I will be putting that into the FishPal newsletter, or go onto Fish D and you can read the report in full. They have caught 860 fish since Monday the 29th of June to Saturday the 3rd of August, and that is more than double the July period at that time of 2019. Now on the River Tweed, and I am showing you the photo again, this gentleman has actually had quite a good day today. This is one of the 4 fish that Johnny has caught on Junction. Huge thanks to the Junction boys for sending me in photos as well. And they've reported 5 fish so far today. I was actually on the river yesterday as well. I was visiting customers, and I caught up with Dean. He's actually the new head gilly on West Learmouth, and they're on their 99th fish, and I just want to show you their 99th fish being caught, because there's nothing like turning up to a beat and hearing those fabulous words, fish on. So there you go, 99th fish caught on West Learmouth, and I was lucky enough to be there to actually see it going into the net by Dean. So if you want to book any fishing, do go and check out FishPal, because we've got availability on the site. And do keep sending in your photos, because I love fish photos. It's one of the highlights of my job. So do keep sending in your photos. Well, I think I'm going to introduce the lovely Stronach family. Hello, team. How are we doing?
Hi, Anne. Yeah, we're fine, thank you. How's you?
Well, I'm well, thanks. And we've got some people watching as well. It's always nice to have people popping things into the feed so we actually know we're not sitting here on our own. So hi, Paul from County Kildare. And do let us know how County Kildare's fishing as well. We've also got your wonderful sister on. Unfortunately, we can't get Cheyenne on this evening, can we?
No, she's away at Granny's again, so she's taking off for Granny.
We would also just like to say huge congratulations, Cheyenne, for passing your exams as well. So well done there, young lady.
Well done, Cheyenne.
Well done. Hard work, but worth it, Cheyenne. Well done.
And also as well, everybody, if you know a farmer or somebody in the agricultural industry from Inverness and that part of the region, please do get in touch because Cheyenne wants to go into that world. So, and she's looking for a placement, Mum?
Yes, yeah. She's looking to get more experience and she is wanting to do agricultural side of it. She's open to whether it's cattle or sheep or whatever. So I think she's got a lot of options there. But if anybody, as you say, has anything coming up where they would like a wee junior on site, I'm sure you would have a lot to offer her. So thanks, Anne.
And she's so hardworking as well, everybody. So and a lovely, lovely young lady. And she's just passed all her exams as well. So Gordo, you have been, since we last spoke, you have been tying like mad. And I know Jo Stephenson, who is our wonderful guest this evening as well, she's also commented about your flies. So just tell us a little bit of what you've been up to.
Yeah, so that's me tying some hedgehogs. I've just got new material out of Graham's. So I was just tying some to try my new straggle string that I bought because I was just trying out different colours, and it's really good. It's just, if you're not fishing, it's either a bad day or you're working late at night and then you're coming home. Fly tying's just a good thing to do because it just
relaxing you, doesn't
it?
Yeah,
you need it as well.
And it's great to know, everybody, that Graham's of Inverness, they are open and they are really looking forward to people coming into their shop and buying fly tying materials, fishing rods, everything. So everybody, the fishing tackle shops are open for business across the country. So please keep supporting them. You've been catching, you've actually been catching fish. What were you catching your fish on then, Gordo?
I was catching my fish on my own hedgehogs that I tied. So that picture there was a few days after I did one of my live videos on Instagram, and so I went out to try them at Dunlickety, and I didn't think I was going to catch anything, but my luck, I did. So it was half a pound or something, so it wasn't too big, but.
Well done there. Tell us a little bit about the fishery. Give Dunlickety the fishery a big write up for us. Tell us what's the good things about the fishery.
They're really nice people that own it. You have 2 lochs stocked with rainbow, a few browns, and I think a few blues. It's really good wildlife. There's ospreys and osprey youngs flying about in the air. There's loads of dragonflies and beautiful lilies as well, and it's an amazing place to fish.
Now, Gordo, I don't know if you paid for your permit to fish there. I don't know if Mum paid for it. Do you know how much it costs to fish?
Yeah, so was it 2 hours?
2 hours we did
2
today.
hours catch and release today was £16.
Is that per person?
Yeah, that's per person.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of deal we got today, Gordon, but we got £36, and that was for the 3 of us. So I don't know if there's certain times or certain days, but maybe next week, Anne, I'll get some prices and maybe have a wee leaflet or something that we could advertise for them,
Well,
It's a lovely place.
Yeah.
It's very well kept, and to watch the osprey come down is just amazing. It flies over, and as you're fishing, you hear it. And as Gordon said a minute ago, there was a young one, and you could hear it calling, and obviously them flying about, and they swoop, and unfortunately they pinch our fish, which is quite nice to see when it kind of swoops down, lifts the fish. Sometimes if it's too heavy, I mean, it'll drop the fish and it's off again. But there's not many fisheries around here or around the world that you could watch so close. I mean, you're talking a few yards away. This osprey comes along, so magical. Yeah,
we are so lucky in Scotland to actually have the ospreys. I was on the Tweed the other week, and I actually saw an osprey pick up a fish in the till, pick it up, and you could see they had a fish because literally you could see it in its claws, and then it was being chased by another bird, and what happened was it dropped it, and then you saw it on the main Tweed actually taking another fish. So it's just great fun. Just to let everybody know who's watching this, we do have the Tweed Osprey on as our guest next week. His words, not mine, and his friends. We've actually got Ian Wilson from Borders Gun Room. He's actually joining us next week as our guest after the wonderful Stronach family. So you've been out today as well, Gordo, haven't you? And you've been very successful. You have christened a new rod as well, haven't you? Tell us a little bit about where have you been and what rod you've christened.
So we were at Dunlickety again today, and I've had this rod for a while. Well, about two weeks. I was just waiting for my reel to come. So that's the Mackenzie NX1 and the Airflow V2 limited edition green trout reel, and it was about 1.5 pound today. Nothing too big, but it put up a really big fight and a good way to test out the rod as well.
Well, that's fantastic. And listeners, I would like to just say that Gordo is actually buying all this kit himself because during the holidays, you've actually been working for your mum, haven't you? And you've actually asked to have the money that you've saved, you've actually bought very lovely equipment. So well done, you, Gordo. It just shows what you can do when you've got when you go and get yourself a summer job.
Might turn into a winter job as well shortly, Anne.
Now we might be working still as well. You go back to school. What is it, in a week's time?
So I go back not this Thursday, next Thursday, just for the day, and then the next week it's full time. So I've still got plenty of time to fish.
Well, and obviously it's still light night, you can still get out on the evening, and we've got lots of comments coming in for you, Gordo, at the moment. Melville McDonald, I don't know how long we've got Melvin, because obviously he goes out fishing on an evening and he usually tells us he's off, so hopefully we've got you for a little bit longer this evening. And again, Philip Black, if you ever get the chance to go and fish a beat with Philip Black, you're in for a treat. I remember the first opening I was asked to go along to and get the chance to have a cast, and it was on the River Tay. And I saw Philip Black, it was on New Tile, and I saw Philip Black cast the rod. And I just thought, if I could just get a quarter of his distance, I would be so happy. Honestly, you just see these guys and they can cast, and likewise on the nest. Absolutely, the guys who were fishing the nest, well, they're just amazing, aren't they, Gordo?
Yeah, they are. There's some really talented people. They're really good at casting down there.
Yeah. So where are you off to this week? Are you off out fishing?
This week I think we are going fishing. I'm not too sure.
Planning Geddes, aren't we?
Are we?
Yeah, well,
Geddes and more fly time.
Well, just to let you know, we've got Rodrigo from Argentina or Chile on here. So good evening, and also as well is that I know that Rodrigo is looking to set up a young person's club in his country. What top tips would you give Rodrigo, mum, for setting up a junior club, please?
Well, I mean, we started off, Gordon was very young when, I mean, he kept saying to Dad, please take me fishing. Dad, please take me fishing. So, I mean, he was probably about 5 when he harped on and on and on. And eventually I just said to Stephen, I said, you're going to have to take this lad fishing. Okay. So we saw the RSAA had a day, the Riversby Angling Association had a day over Elgin Way, and it was at Kellis Fishery. So we decided, right, we'll trot along there. That'll be a good day. Hadn't got a clue about fishing. Of course, Stephen had fished as a youngster, and we trotted along there, all 4 of us actually, and they were really well organised. They had rods all set up. So we actually more or less turned up, picked up a rod, got a little bit of tuition, loved it. I mean, I think that's when you fell in love with it. Loved it and wanted to go back. So the only thing I would say is try and get the parents involved. I never thought for a minute that I'd be sitting here and, being involved in fishing, being involved with the kids with fishing. I just thought, it's something that'll come and go, it'll be a phase and whatever. But I think the tip is to get the parents involved in the fishing. And I've actually begun to like fishing at the very start. And it wasn't a chore just taking Gordon and Cheyenne and me sitting in the car. When you're joining these clubs, and I mean, when Rodrigo is doing a fishing day, is get the parents involved as well. Don't let them go and sit in the car. Say to them, come and have a wee go and things. Because then they can sort of pair up with a child and bond a little bit. And I think if you bond them from the very start, they then become to like it. And then they become to have something in common instead of, a lot of the time now, kids are going to their rooms and their parents are sitting watching telly or whatever. And there's a bit of a divide because they've got different interests, And I think if you can sort of gel together and say, well, Mum, how do you put the line on, or how do you put this fly on? At least one of you'll know, or have a bit of a clue.
Yeah.
And I think it does. It pulls you together. And, quite often I go fishing with Gordon or Cheyenne, and Stephen will go fishing, or we'll go fishing together. So the best advice I'd give is try and get the parents involved. It also takes the parents away from doing maybe a stressful job or whatever. If you've got a stressful job, the last thing you really want to be doing is coming home and dealing with kids. But if you can all get out on the river or the loch or on the water somewhere, it de-stresses you too, So, and that helps your family unit. So I think there's a lot of fishing gives a lot, more than just fishing. And some people think, it's putting dinner on the table. It's not about that, and it's there's so much more to fishing. But as I say, that's a bit of advice I would give is definitely have the parents involved. Maybe make at the very start, have it as a day where it's called a family day, or a mum's day, a mum's and child day, or a dad's and child day, and then try and gel them both together and have a wee bit of competition. I think when we started, we did a little bit of hoops, having a little hoop on the grass and firing the line into the hoops and things like that. So that's a good wee one. If you've got littler ones that get a bit fed up, take them away, do these little games. And that's where you have a little bit of competition, and it brings out the fun in the parents and the child. The problem is volunteers, as Mel, I think, has just quite rightly said there. Volunteers are very hard to find, but the volunteering is a whole thing in itself. If you're giving something, you're going to get something back, whether it's meeting someone for the first time. I mean, Gordon went along to the men's day recently, and these guys, Gordon didn't know quite a lot of them. So although he was going to help out, and for the love of fishing as well, but he was going to help out, he actually came away with a lot more than he went with, Anne. And a lot of satisfaction realising that these guys have never fished before, and he's helped steer them in the right direction of fishing if they want to. So your volunteers are very important, and it's making them feel that they're important as well. These volunteers, some people just think as volunteers, they'll come along and help out. But if these volunteers didn't go, you wouldn't have these days, So whoever's running the event, gel together with the volunteers and make them feel as if they're being useful. I think that's a couple of bits of advice I would give them, So I hope that helps.
Totally. And huge thank you, the wonderful Stronach family. I am going to see you next week.
Yes.
And we will basically we will chat away next week. And tight lines, team.
Thank you.
You're my team in the north, and I send you a virtual hug because you are absolute stars, and you are credit to everything that the industry does as well. So thank you. And it's honestly without people like you as well, Anne, that have been helping us throughout the whole journey, steering us in the right direction, and helping us a lot to understand fishing too, and understand the way it works. It's thanks to you guys that are keeping the fishing family going. Yeah, so thank you for that. And it's all right, I'm just deleting comments. So, but you take care. So I apologise for not concentrating on you totally.
No, don't be silly. Thanks, Anne. Thank you.
And, just to let Nolan Wall know, he's just been blocked. So I do not accept foul language in this feed. So if you're going to do foul language, everybody, you're going to get blocked. So you've just been blocked. So as I'm now deleting his words, this is the first time we've actually ever had somebody be rude on this. So I'm quite shocked actually. That
it always went on though, but don't let that spoil it for other people.
Yeah, well, I just would like to apologise to everybody if you're offended by the language that Nolan Wall's just used, and so I apologise because but anyway, Rodrigo, he has come back. So before you go, he said, this little man can come to my office to fish anytime. Okay, so he basically is absolutely, thank you so much, and it's just really grateful to have comments like that. So thanks, team. I'll see you next week. And
Bye.
All right, so there you go. The wonderful Stronach family. I'm just taking them out of the feed. Well, my next guest. When lockdown was on and I was doing these lives every day, I did actually ask this lady to come on, and unfortunately she couldn't because she was working, but I am just going to introduce her. She is Jo Stephenson. She is a writer, an angling coach and a fly tyer. She's managed a salmon lodge in Norway, has fished in New Zealand, Argentina, Belize, Iceland, the list goes on. She's a brand ambassador for Partridge Redditch, the Angling Trust, Foxy Tales, the UK brand Fresh Salt, which I was really interested because I've never heard about them. They're very new, and Blackstrap from the USA. I've also asked her as well because during lockdown, we did actually get people asking this question, top tips for fishing for carp, zander, pike, cod and halibut on the fly. And she's actually going to be giving us some top tips on that. So I'm going to be bringing her into the stream. Good evening, Jo. How are you?
Hello, Anne. I'm very well. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I did say to everybody at the during lockdown, I did ask you to come on, but you were basically you were part of a small team in a veterinary practice, weren't you?
Yeah, so I work in a private first opinion and referral ophthalmology veterinary practice. Yeah. And because I'm head nurse, I was one of 3 nurses that were kept on during the lockdown. So we were all working manically. I think we thought it would be quiet, but we had tons of emergencies over that period. So we were kept rather busy. Yeah.
So, well, thank you for looking at that wonderful down. You have only recently been able to get out fishing, and you've actually caught some rather fabulous fish in the last couple of weeks. They may not be salmon, everybody, because we'll come to that, but where you live, obviously, you do have access to carp fishing, don't you, where you live?
Yeah, we don't have any salmon down here. We have a few secret trout spots. We have carp and a lot of coarse fish, so pike and chub and perch mainly.
Well, what I'm going to do is going to actually put these photos up as well.
Okay.
Talk us through your fishing trip.
So this was went down to Todber Manor down south. I went to fish with my good friend Marina for a weekend, just to go and cast some flies and catch some fish. So yeah, we were just casting little flies into this little pond, and it's a really good, where we were fishing, I think it was called Homestead or something. It was a really good place to, we thought for people who hadn't tried before, to have a go at carp fishing. It was a really good place to fish, actually. Had a really good time.
And you actually caught 3 varieties of carp. Just tell us which one's which, please.
So that's a beautiful common carp. Yeah. That's a lovely mirror carp. That was I think they called it a ghost koi, a ghost carp actually. But it's really pretty, and that's almost a leather carp, I would say. It's got a little bit of scalage down the back there.
And I know that people actually are saying that they were looking at you strange, you and Marina, because you had fly rods.
Yeah, they do. I mean, down at Todber, they do have fly fishermen down there. I know that some guys went down last year and caught some big old Wells catfish on fly out there. But there were a lot of people who did look at us strange there. What are you doing? And they asked us, are you actually going to fish for, what are you fishing for with that? And we were like, carp, of course. And they're like, oh, didn't think you could do that. So I've got a few strange looks, but we're used to that.
It's set in 125 acres, isn't it? A gorgeous
place.
Yeah,
it's really good.
With reference to flies for carp, talk us through, because I did ask you to send us some flies in, and you've sent us a photo in. Just talk us through what kind of flies people should be using for carp.
Okay, well, I would say if you're just starting out, you can use biscuit flies. I mean, some people will frown on using biscuits and say, is it a merge between bait fishing and carp fishing? But if you're starting out, it's just fun, isn't it? It's just to have a go. So you can tie these little biscuit flies with deer hair, which are the top ones in that picture, I think. And then if you want to do a little bit more stalking and you wait, you can find the fish just feeding, you can use what I've tied some ones on the lower side there, some little bug patterns. So you can try and catch them on more natural looking flies. So it's like the stalking aspect, which is fun.
And also, as well as the biscuit flies, you can actually fish for mullet with them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can try. You can try. You might not be successful, but you can try.
Yeah, because the other thing as well is that I know that your fishing, it isn't just obviously you carp, you fish for pike, salt water. I'm going to, because obviously I want to try and keep it to the carp and pike together. I've got a wonderful pike photo here.
Oh yeah, so that's on one of my local stretches where I take the kayak. So this is when I was fishing with my husband, my separated husband. He took that photo for me, and we took our kayak down, and it's on the Norfolk. I think that was actually Essex. So Norfolk, Essex, and Suffolk is where I fish for pike. And we're very lucky for pike fishing down here. We can find some good ones. I mean, finding the big ones in the river can be a bit tricky. They don't have, tons of protein-filled trout to feed on, which some of them do in the lakes. But I'm still searching for that 20-plus pike in the river, but I'll find her one day.
Brilliant. Have you got anything else on your computer? Because I'm hearing a noise coming
Oh,
through.
sorry, that's probably my chair. Hang on, let me move it around.
Oh, okay.
Is that better? I'm wriggly. I can't sit still.
It's the sound. That was all. I didn't realise your chair was making that noise.
Yeah, I was wriggling around on it. There we are. It's a leather chair, so I've moved it around. Sorry.
I love that. But also as well is that you've had Xander up to £15. That was this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just a few weeks ago. Yeah, at Grafham Water. So again, I went to fish with Marina, and yeah, we'd tied up some flies in the hope to try for Xander, and it was a slow day. Wasn't much happening, but we just kept casting and casting, and then I think I was chatting with her about something at the time when the fish took, and I was like, oh, I think it's just a trout. And when it came up closer, I was like, oh no, it's not. It's a Xander, and we got it in the net. We couldn't believe the size of this fish. It was like, I think we measured it with a piece of line because it was quite a warm day, and I didn't want to have the fish out of the water for too long. And it was 93 centimeters, which when I looked it up online as to how much that might equate to in pounds, it said it could be around about 15, but I didn't weigh it for sure, but it was a big fish. And it's like my first Xander. I don't think I'm ever going to beat it.
And I know Marina's just started fly tying as well with
Yeah, she's doing an amazing job. I mean, she's already caught her first barbel on her flies, so yeah.
And also as well, she caught pike on the fly as well.
Yeah, she caught all sorts of things on fly, Marina. Yeah, she's her species list is extremely long.
It's yours, by the way. I am not joking. Right. I am particularly impressed with this. You are a member of talking about fly tying, you are a member of the Partridge Pro Team, and you do tie at shows, etc. I remember the first time I met you, and that was, gosh, I think it was about 2012. Yeah, you were on the bass stand within the Salmon and Trout Conservation tent at the CLA Game Fair, and all you did, but for the 3 days, you just tied flies. I said hello to you. You said hello, and that was it. You were just.
I know. Yeah, I used to be really shy, and no, I wasn't very good. I still think I'm a bit socially awkward, but yeah, when I just get in the zone, and I'll just tie. Yeah.
It's so nice to see so many ladies on the fly tyers row at the different shows, and I've got a wonderful photo here. So just tell us a little bit about the shows you go to. They obviously have been cancelled this year.
They have, sadly, yeah.
They'll be there next year.
We hope so. Yeah. So I think that this was the BFFI a couple of years ago. So there's a few of us, and you've got people there from all over the country. You've got Linda from the US, she's the top left corner there above me, and the rest of us I think from the UK, but yeah, every year I go, there's more and more women tying on the row, so that's always really good. So this so that's the BFI, which is the big one in the UK in Stafford, and I think there's the Irish Fly Fair this year, but that's been cancelled sadly. That's always a good one to go, but yeah, more and more women every year, which is great to see.
And it's great as well that obviously Linda is coming over from the USA to tie that. And anybody who classic salmon flies, they are just so perfect.
They are absolutely beautiful. Yeah. I wouldn't even know where to begin. I mean, that lady has got more talent in her strand of one of her hairs than I have in my little finger, and in the whole of my body, pretty much. That her stuff is unbelievable. And
I know with yourself, over the years, you've created your own style, and I've got some photos here. You've got obviously the shrimp patterns. Mm-hmm. What kind of flies would you say that you enjoy tying?
Oh goodness, I like tying predator flies, so saltwater and predator. I suppose, yeah, those ones are the ones I tied to catch the halibut, and I sent those ones over to Norway this year. But yeah, saltwater and predator are what I genuinely tie. I wouldn't know where to start with the lovely flies that Gordo was tying earlier.
Something, it's just so nice to see. I love having the Stronach family on because family fishing is so important.
Yes, absolutely.
And Gordo and Tracy and Cheyenne and Steve-O, their dad, and obviously
Yes.
Tracy and Steve-O, they take the kids everywhere and they want to give them the best possible experience. And I just think that's a real credit to them. And the fact that Gordo is tying the flies. He's just that little, and the dad, he does a great. He's a wood turner as well, and he does the most beautiful pens, and he uses whiskey casks, and they smell. I was very lucky to receive one, and they actually smell of the whiskey as well.
Oh, wow, you wouldn't get any work done, would you? You just.
I know. You actually just talk us through this fish, please.
So that is that's a halibut that I caught in Norway a couple of years ago, where I was working at the salmon lodge. We knew there were a halibut in the fjord. We'd seen them. You could see them in the shallow water. They were kind of coming in to feed into the shallow water. So we kind of devised a potential method that we might be able to catch them. But all of the people in the local tackle shop was saying I was crazy and it wasn't possible. But we managed to go out in a boat. I only had a 9 weight with me, and we had a go and managed to get the drift correct. I mean, it's all about timing, really, in the right place, right time. The drift was right, the cast was right, and managed to hook one. And it turned out to be, I think that one, we measured it, and they have like a measurement to weight chart in Norway, and it turned out to be about 44 kilos, which was the Norwegian fly caught record. As far as I'm aware, it hasn't been beaten yet, but I know that there's people out there trying. So.
Well done. As they say, everybody, women do hold records for seriously big fish.
It seriously helped my biceps. I'll be honest.
Well, because when you were out in Norway, tell everybody what you were doing.
So I was helping run a salmon lodge in the north of Norway, in a place on a river called Reisa, on the River Reisa in northern Norway. So I was basically, greeting guests, keeping them entertained, cooking, cleaning, basically doing anything and everything, so that everyone had a good time. It was an incredibly hard job. It was 20 hours a day. But it was enjoyable and an amazing experience. And then obviously in our spare time, the little bit we were able to go out and try and catch one of the salmon in the fjords. And they had some, again, in the coastal areas, got beautiful sea trout that come in, and we caught those ones just out in the fjord and the entrance to the river. So some beautiful fish. Yeah, that was the second salmon I hooked that day. My first one was like a 30-pound, and I lost it at the net. But it was gutting. But there's some big fish in that river. Yeah.
Well, you also have fished in Argentina as well. And I love this story when we were chatting about Argentina, because I've spoken to the guys about Argentina, and they're like, oh yeah, it's great. And I keep saying, what about the wind? And they go, oh no, you're okay. You actually wrote a feature for today's Fly Fishing Forgotten Rivers of Argentina.
Yeah.
Just talk us through your experience of Argentina.
So it's a wonderful country. It was bizarre. It's very flat, and yes, you're right. The wind is relentless. But you kind of get used to it, and you can just position yourself in a way to kind of assist you. But where we were fishing, so the guy in that picture, he was a family friend who owns a lodge out there, and he has 2 rivers that run on the property. So there's the Rio Gallegos and the Penitente. And the Penitente is a really small river that you can fish with single-hander. But again, you've really got to fire those flies into the wind, because it doesn't quit to help you at all. But you can catch some massive fish in that tiny river. I mean, it's only a few meters across. And I was fishing with my husband, and he caught a 20-pound fresh chrome sea trout out of that little river. So not many people know about it. it's not a well advertised river, but it has some real hidden gems in there. But I really struggled, I will be honest. I mean, me and Johnny are sadly separated, but when we were together and we went on that trip, he has the most amazing watercraft, and he's always one step ahead of the fish, and I'm always one step behind. So, you know, he'd figure out what they were catching. He'd figure out, he'd catch the fish, and by the time I've changed onto that method, they've stopped doing that. You know, he had ones on dry fly, he had ones on streamer, he had, you know, any way that they would catch it, they were taking, he was catching. So I found it a real struggle, but it kind of taught me to be patient, because you know, you can't just go out there and catch a fish. You really have to work at it, figure out what they want, put the line in the right place, and then you'll get your reward. But I did catch 2 really nice sea trout, but then on one night we were fishing just as it was like last cast, you know, the sun was just going down, it was getting dark, and I cast a nice cast out just behind a boulder, and my line went dead, and I had hooked into a monster, and we saw it. We managed to get it in close, but then of course you're having to walk out backwards around all these boulders, try not to fall over and make a tit of yourself. And then we got the net in, and it looked like it was almost done, and went to get it in the net, and it saw the net and just had this burst of energy, and it just ran, and the leader snapped, and it was like a 20-pound chrome. It was so beautiful, but it wasn't to be. So, but those kind of memories stay with you, don't they? You have to learn from them. Next time I'll be patient. Sorry? For a while I did, yeah, but it would just go in the bank of moments that I can remember. We all got them.
You've also fished in Christmas Island as well. Oh my goodness.
Been very lucky, yeah.
Hello.
I feel a bit guilty about that one.
Why?
Because I was a host. I was hosting a really lovely group of guys out to Christmas Island for SportQuest holidays, and we were out on a boat. We were just having a lunch, and we started seeing some gulls diving and stuff. So we both started casting, me and my guest, and I went and caught the fish, didn't I? Which is like a complete faux pas when you're hosting a trip, isn't it? But he was fine about it, and he was a lovely guy, and you know, he had his monster GT on that trip as well, so that was good. But I can't wait to get back there. I should be taking that same trip next year. This year, sadly, it's obviously been cancelled. So next year, hopefully, I can go back out and try again.
Well, I normally say that.
Yeah.
Obviously not from a woman. They wouldn't know, man would take a rod from a woman. They're like, no, play yourself.
Yeah.
I love this. And we've also got a little, so what is that? That's a little GT, isn't it?
That's a GT, yeah, that's a GT.
Yes. So you've really had some lovely times. Now, I know as well, and people might, because it was quite a few years ago, and obviously the superstar himself won it, the wonderful James Stokoe. Mm-hmm. You were was it a semi-finalist?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how you came to be on that show, because the thing is that up until then you were well known in the fly tying quarters. Everybody knew who you were, and this just put you on a different level to like everybody knowing about you, not just fly tying.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing the fly tying shows for a little while, and I was down south in a show called iFish, it was called, and bizarrely enough, the first year I was there, the BBC were there giving out little flyers about this potential fishing show they were doing, looking for amateur fishermen to enter. So I thought I'd give it a go. It was a big application process and auditions and all sorts that you had to get through to go. And I was really lucky to become one of the 8 that got picked. It was mental, and an amazing experience. Made some really, good friends that I still keep in contact with now. And yeah, it took us all over the world. Amazing. It was really amazing. But some of the most stressful fishing I've ever done.
Well, a message from Bordeaux, and he said, would you go back on the big fish again?
Oh, would I do it again? Yeah, for sure. I would. Yeah, because now you kind of know how the program works, what they, how they televise it. And I'm obviously, it's a few years on, so I think hopefully my fly fishing technique has improved since I did that, and I could cope with some of the stressful situations I was in.
Well, I've got some fabulous photos that were taken. So talk us through these different photos and where they are.
Okay, sure. So that's in Laos, which was a bizarre choice, I felt, for fishing. But that's when we were casting nets from the front of those little boats. I was quite proud of myself, so I didn't fall in, whereas all the boys did. So that was one of the middle challenges where we had to catch lots of little fish. For food, basically. That was the food challenge. Yeah.
Did you eat them?
Yeah, I won that challenge as well. I caught the most, and we cooked them up and then had to eat them with the locals. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Well, that's locals as well.
Yeah, it's good.
Earning a living.
That was in Cuba. So in Cuba, obviously, people, because of the government, they can't own boats unless they're government owned. So when people want to go fishing, they made up these tires, these like massive inner tire tubes, and then sat in them and paddled out and went fishing. So that's what we had to do, make these tire tubes and then paddle out and see what we could catch with a hand line.
No. What did you get?
It was terrible. We went out far too far and couldn't put our anchors down. I think I caught a squid. So that saved my bacon. Because at least I didn't blank.
And
that's Iceland. So that's a cod. Again, these are all the middle challenges. So these were the challenges for the food challenges, and we went on this big cod boat and had to do this weird, winding system with these winding things. Yeah. To catch cod. Yeah.
And
so that's on the semi-final. So that's where we were flying on this tiny little plane to the first challenge, actually. So it's just me and the boys left, and we were in this tiny plane. I don't like flying, but I must say that was probably the nicest flight I've been on in a while.
Tell us a little bit about the semi-final and what you were fishing for, etc.
So we had, again, 3 challenges. First challenge was salmon in the sea before they came into the river. So we were fishing them with downriggers. And I think I caught 3 fish that day. And in the middle challenge, we were fly fishing for bull trout. And I think I caught the biggest bull trout on that one as well, which was really fun. I think that's probably my most enjoyable challenge. And on the final challenge, the big one, we were catching sturgeon. And I had a 40-minute fight with a sturgeon. I lost it, which is what cost me my ticket to the final, I think. But the next day after we went fishing, and I was out, the boys and I went fishing just before we caught our flight home, and I managed to catch that one, which was amazing.
Wonderful. Yeah. I've got a question from Rodrigo. He said, Jo, actually, there you go. Do you like fishing in Patagonia?
Oh, I loved Patagonia. I think it is a major challenge. I think it's a big challenge. It's different to any kind of fishing you might experience in the UK, and obviously the scenery and the wildlife. I mean, I love animals, and the wildlife out there was incredible. And we saw a little armadillo, which was my favourite thing. And there's foxes and flamingos and all sorts. I mean, it's a beautiful place, and definitely a special. I'll hold that in my heart. A special place there for sure. You're very lucky, Rodrigo, to live there.
Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Ian Jones.
Philippine Amasui, yeah, absolutely. I do, Ian. Yeah, I do. I drowned my camera at Amasui.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I took my camera in the boat and thought it was in a waterproof bag, and it wasn't.
Did you fish?
Yeah, we fished in locks. Yeah. But that's an amazing place. I mean, the castle. If anyone's ever been there, it's quite stunning, and the scenery is beautiful. But yeah, it was a really good trip.
Hebrides.
Yeah.
I every week. I love the place.
Yeah.
And those boys at Amsui are they're brilliant. And how they maneuver the boats, because I fished with Susie, the wonderful Susie, and we were fishing obviously for sea trout, and we both had sea trout. I loved it. Lovely.
Yeah. Wonderful place.
Yeah, get yourself on Fish Hebrides, everybody, and you'll be able to find all the details on fishing the Outer Hebrides as well. If not, go and have a chat with our own Gail, who works for FishPal, because she lives on the wonderful Isle of Harris. So, yeah, if you want to go and fish Finns Bay and the Stockenyash and all those locks around there, that's literally just a walk from Gail's house. So, the wonderful Gail. So, have you got any salmon fishing or trout fishing planned on rivers?
Not yet. I mean, I've been talking. Marina keeps inviting me down up, I should say, and I should definitely go and see her. But I haven't fished for salmon since I was in Norway, and I've got this beautiful Hardy Zephyrus salmon rod and a lovely Hardy Perfect that I had when I was with Hardy. I've never used them, and I'm worried about turning up at a salmon river and like, can I remember how to cast? I might just look like an idiot.
Go fishing with Marina on the River Ure, because the River Ure, everybody, or spot to go and fish for salmon, and she's just a fabulous caster. So
beautiful caster. Yeah, she'll sort me out if I'm rusty.
Definitely. And Joe, can I just let everybody know that I've actually taken all these photos that everybody's seen this evening from your Instagram page, which is Joe Stephenson _fishing. Please do give that a like, because your photos, Joe, they're absolutely brilliant.
Oh, that's very kind, Anne. Thank you.
You love taking photos, don't you? Very good photographer.
I try. I must say it's I have an SLR and I used to take it everywhere with me, but camera phones these days are so easy, aren't they? But my poor SLR gets left behind most of the time now. But I do enjoy a bit of photography.
And Joe, would you say women getting into the sport of fishing, how easy would you say that is? Because I know girls that have had problems with some comments, etc. What would you say? Would you say it's easy?
I think anything can be easy. It just depends which route you take, doesn't it? And who's there to help you. And I've been really fortunate. I mean, there's a lot of girls will say they've had nasty comments, like you say. I've had the odd one, but I would say that most of men in the industry have been really, really supportive and helpful. And most of my experiences with men in the industry have been really positive. And if you're really interested and you really want to learn, there will be someone who can help you. I met my other half my husband when I was 17, and he was into fishing. That's how I got into it. But there are plenty of girls that want to have a go and they don't have that link. But just reach out. I mean, social media has made the world so much smaller these days that if there's I know that Marina gets a lot of people that ask her. I have people ask me about how they get into it. Just reach out, ask someone. There'll be somebody who can give you some tips, and there'll be local clubs that you can go to. And if you genuinely want to learn, there'll be someone to help you. The Angling Trust, for example, if you go to Angling Trust, there's level 2 coaches that can definitely help you find a route in. It shouldn't be difficult. It shouldn't be difficult. We need to make it more inclusive and arms open, because it's shrinking, especially fly fishing. It's shrinking, and we need to be positive and welcoming to get just like people like Gordo. The young people, get them in. Otherwise, it's going to fizzle out for sure.
And also as well as that, this is why I wanted you to talk about carp fishing, zander, pike, those species that people would not necessarily go and fish with on a fly. And I know that obviously during lockdown, people were actually stuck to actually only going and fishing where their nearest fishery was. It was a coarse fishery. People were fly fishing going, well, I can't go fishing. How easy is it to go fishing with your fly rod and go and target those species? Because you're making it look easy.
Well, if you've got a carp lake nearby, you can catch a carp on a fly. It depends, though, what the rules at that carp fishery are. I know that there are a lot that don't allow it, or there are more and more carp lakes these days that don't allow top water fishing. So that makes it a little bit more difficult. But there's pretty much, if it's a predatory type animal, if it eats something, you should be able to catch it on a fly. You just got to figure out how, and that is sometimes the enjoyment of the challenge, to find out how to catch it.
And everybody, that's why I'm saying give Jo a like on her Instagram page, because seriously, your top tips on these fish, it really is, you're quite unique, Jo, because there's not many people out there that are fishing for all these species and has caught so many different varieties on the fly. Obviously, Marina is also doing it as well, but you've been doing it for a long time, Jo, and we really do need to give you credit for that as well. I am looking forward to seeing more of your fish photos, and Instagram, everybody, Jo Stephenson _fishing, and I'm going to actually put that, Jo, in the feed here as well, so people can give you a follow. Companies you work for, because you do work for quite a few, and one of them that you sent it to me just a little while before we actually went on air. Fresh Salt. Are they?
They're a small company based down south, and they do clothing it's kind of everyday clothing. It's not specifically technical clothing, but it's clothing for people who've just got a passion for fishing, really. And what I really love about them is they have a women's section too. So if you're going fishing in the salt and you want to get some of those long sleeved sun shirts, they have women's size ones, so you don't have to wear big baggy man shirts. They're cool, and they even just do hoodies that you can slouch about in the house in, as well as some technical jackets as well. So they're a really a new up and coming company, and they need a bit of support. So go and have a look. Go and look them up. They're good.
The Black Shark from the USA.
Yeah, so they're a company that started out as in skiing and snowboarding, and they used to make those, or they make those kind of buff type. I say buff, that shouldn't say that because it's a different company, but the snood type things for your face. But they've kind of scaled down the thermal part of it and made some sun snoods, and they also do some really cool sun gloves for stripping, and some really cool designs and patterns and things. So they're obviously from the States, but you can order from the UK, but I would probably recommend getting a whole, some of your friends together and making a big order before you order from them. But
Brilliant. Now, also as well as that, we want to just say to Norman Wells, who is in lockdown in the Bahamas.
Oh, poor Norman.
I know, and he said, no,
I feel for you, my man. I feel for you.
No UK fishing for you this year. We are sending the Bahamas a virtual hug. So, we and thank you everybody for coming on and giving us your comments this evening as well. So Jo, obviously you're working full time as a nurse. So what's your plans with reference to your fishing?
Well, I was on call this weekend, just gone, and I'm not on call this coming weekend. So I've got my kayak outside. I've been fixing up the handles and bits and pieces on it, and I plan to get that out on the river this weekend and go and pike hunting. That's my plan. Yeah.
Oh. Norma says thank you. Oh, so you're off kayak fishing. Get yourself onto Jo Stephenson _fishing on Instagram. obviously Facebook Joe Stephenson Fishing, and your website is joestephenson.com.
Yeah.
But the Instagram page, I know you're always updating that, and I am looking forward to a kayak fishing and little Gordo as well. We love you. I love that. It's so nice. And so we're I think on that note, with little Gordo saying tight lines. Tight lines to everybody who's out fishing this week, and do keep sharing your photos because we love your photos, and take care as well. So thank you, Joe, for coming on this evening.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And also thank you to the wonderful Stronach family, to Gordo and to Tracy for coming on, and thank you as well, everybody out there, for your feedback and for giving it a view as well. And if you've got any comments, just direct message me, and we'll or any guest ideas as well, just direct messages. Next week I've got Ian Wilson on from Borders Gun Room. The week after, I'm actually now booking guests into September, so I'm going to give you a whole list of who's coming on as well. So tight lines, everybody, and have a lovely weekend, and huge thank you, Joe, and have a good time out fishing, because I know you work really hard as well. So take care.
And you.